Welcome to Beyond the Box. Inside, outside, upside, downside. Beyond the Box.
Break it down.
Our guests are insiders, now on the outside and the right side, dropping truth and nuclear intel bombs and breaking it down just for you. And now it's time to meet your hosts and co-host. Your hosts of Beyond the Box are Brenda Lankart and Suzanne Hott. Brenda Lankart is host of Beyond the Box and retired law enforcement. Joined by Suzanne Hott, host of Beyond the Box, Joel's Indoor Arena and Event Center, and White Horse Productions. Their co-host is Brian Sang, co-host Beyond the Box, Full Disclosure Now Movement, fulldisclosuremovement.org. This show is for entertainment purposes only. And now discover new boundaries beyond the box. Inside, outside, upside, downside. Beyond the box begins now.
Break it down.
Hey, hello. Welcome again to another episode of Beyond the Box. Today is July, what the heck is it? The 6th, 2024. You know, I barely remember my name half the time. I have to look. Thank God my computer shows the date or we would really be in trouble. I'm not feeling it tonight, guys. I'm going to kind of be a little quiet, but I'm going to try my best. You know what we missed last night, Susie?
What?
Our prayer. We did not say it before we started our show last night.
I know. I thought about that. I know. That did. We just went because we
But it was good.
talked about peace and wisdom, and that
Yeah.
was a prayer.
Yes. But it was a good show
Right.
last night. It really was. And I'm pretty
It
sure
was.
we have a really great one tonight. How was your day today? How's your baby bird?
My baby bird is turning into a big bird, a big bird, like flying in there and have big appetite. I had to catch a lot of grasshoppers, and oh my God, I'm turning into a bird mom.
Right? You know what? It's going to be so hard for you to take him outside and let his wings flap and fly.
I know. I think he's become attached to because I put him on my hand, he doesn't want to get off, and then I keep trying, and he keeps going like this up my arm, and then I keep trying to get him off, and then I try to get him off, and then he kind of does like that at me, like no, I want to stay with you, and he's very. And then I play videos of other birds singing, and he gets to singing, and so cute.
I think, you know what, I don't know. He may be one of those that's going to be attached. You may not be able to let him go out in the wild. You're like
Really
his
is.
mommy. You're the only
I
one
think-
I know that'll take a domestic wild bird and turn him into a house bird.
I raised wild possums. I had wild bunny rabbits I raised up, and then when they got big, I turned them loose. I've raised, all kinds of wild critters. My mom used to call me Ellie Mae because
Right?
I had possums in one drawer, gerbils in another, killdee birds in another, and I mean, I was just, I was terrible. Had to have all the critters.
I'm hoping out at your house I can get me a baby skunk and then take him and get him descented and bring him in the house and teach him how to use a litter box and hang out with the dogs.
Oh, I had raccoons too. Forgot, I had raccoons.
Raccoons can be a little feisty, but skunks make very good house pets if you get them when they're young.
Right?
Very good. They're like
So-
cats. So,
Right?
but
Yeah.
all right. Well, let's get our prayer going. Our guest is back in the queue, waiting to come out
Okay.
ripping and roaring. Brian will not be joining us again tonight. And I think Tommy went to sleep and just hasn't woken yet. But when
Hey,
he wakes up, I'm pretty sure he'll be popping in. Maybe. It all depends how he feels. He's had a rough week too, so. But
well,
yes, ma'am.
we hope he comes on. You know,
Yes.
he comes in because um, I heard that there is a hurricane coming, and it might be coming your
Yes.
way. What, by
Yes.
tonight, tomorrow?
Yeah. Well, we're already getting rain and thunder and flicky flashies. So everybody know that if we blink out on the show, it's because I lost power. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. Everybody pray that doesn't happen. Keep your fingers crossed because I can't recover it if the power goes out. There won't be anything to record even. So,
Right.
yeah. So let's hope that does not happen. God
Right.
willing,
And
it does not happen.
so and so Brenda is. Everybody doesn't know Brenda is having maybe gallbladder problems tonight, and maybe
Yeah.
going to be going to the
Gallstones.
ER tonight or in the morning if you can hold out that long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
And I'm very stubborn. So if I have to have surgery, I'll tell them to get me in and get me out and bring me home because I have a show to do next weekend and the show
Oh,
must go on. The show must go on. And unless I feel like dragging my big old computer up to the hospital and hoping their Wi Fi will support it, I got to be home.
Oh, you're
It's
pretty
weird,
tough.
you know.
Pretty tough. You gotta go. You go through a lot of stuff, and you keep on pressing through, don't you?
Yeah, I'm ornery that way. I am. I don't even think, if I die, I'm probably going to be, stepping out of the coffin for my own funeral and sitting in the pews with everybody going, hey, what's up? I'm not ready yet.
Oh my Lord.
Give
Well,
us a little prayer, little
my prayer
girl.
tonight is for whatever is ailing you that will leave. It will leave. Whatever is bothering you, it will leave.
Get
And
out.
and so that you can be back to your good old normal healthy self. I mean, you got bit by that copperhead, and then you
Yeah,
had all that nerve and stuff. And how long ago was that? Just a
it's
couple
been
weeks ago?
3. I have had the walls of Jericho fall on my head.
Yes, you have. But then didn't Tommy have a dream the other night that he got bit on
Yeah,
his
he got
hand by a
hit
copperhead?
on his head
Yeah,
by on his hand by a copperhead.
yeah,
Yeah.
a
And,
venomous snake. Yeah, and usually when that's an indication that the devil is hot on your trailer when you have that kind of stuff happen to you. So you got
right.
to be doing something good when the devil gets mad. So we'll just keep on doing good and pissing off the devil, and we'll do that in
Oh,
Jesus' mighty name.
yes, in
That's our
Jesus' name.
prayer.
Thank you. Yes,
That's it.
Norma. They do outpatient now, which is excellent because the less time I spend in the hospitals are like hot spots for me because of course we all know that I see, hear, communicate with spirits, and I never have my room to myself at the hospital. There's always somebody coming in and out. I got the door closed. That way, if they come in and talk to me, the nurses walking down the hallway don't think I'm crazy and then they're talking to myself. So, yeah, works out all right. At least I always have company. I always have visitors. It's so nice. But all right, everybody. Our
Well,
guest
I
tonight,
was
we've got, Go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say let's give a little intro about Rocco, our guest. I
Yep.
think I've known Rocco, goodness, I mean it's many many years I've known Rocco, and kind of in the I think I don't know what we would call the community of people who have want to come out and speak their stories or their truths or the things that have happened, or I mean there's so it's this has probably been going on for thousands of years, but in this time that we're living, there's so many people like Rocco who have these horrible memories and these horrible experiences and want to get out and tell their story. And, we all just kind of getting sick and tired of the kids and the adults and everybody getting used and abused by people that are very dark,
Yes,
you know. So,
absolutely. And I'm going to try, well, I don't have the strength tonight to go off like I did last night, so I'm going to try to maintain my, conserve my energy
right.
for laying on the bed. It happened again last night, and poor Putin, he does not know what to do, and he'll get up there and he'll lay on my head and whine with
Oh,
me and cry with
he knows
me.
you're in pain.
Yeah, and he keeps sticking his nose in my ear to smell and see if my soul is still in there. All the normal things. Is she
Oh.
dead yet? So, but yeah, it's been horrible.
Well,
So,
hang in there tonight, Brenda.
oh
Hang in
yeah.
there.
So, with all that, we are going to bring Rocco out. And here he be. Hello, Rocco.
Hey,
Hello.
Rocco.
How are you ladies doing tonight?
We are here. We love our little show.
Hey, right? Oh man. Uh,
So, why don't you start off by a brief introduction of yourself, and
my
then we'll start getting into some stuff.
okay. Well, my name is Rocco. I'm currently 37 years old. I am now back on the correct timeline of 2024. I had some work done to me by another healer. It's actually speaking at Brian's event. Dana, I don't know exactly what the last name is, but what had happened is she had recorrected my timelines. She had activated my DNA codes. And she had explained to me that, like you sit there and we talk about how, okay, yeah, I dealt with that for a long time with the memories, but I can't live in those memories. You
Right.
understand? I cannot live in those memories.
Yes.
So, eventually you run into one person, then you run into another person, you run into another person. But, it's like, you could have been in Montauk. Okay, my 20 and 20 backs could be 100, 200 times. You know what I mean? Because it's like the flash of light. Time doesn't exist. It's infinite. It doesn't exist. When people realize that time can be frozen, then that means if time can be frozen, then I can be taken from this time right now, 2024, all the way back to the 1980s.
That's so trippy, Rocco.
You
Don't tell me that.
understand?
I would like to go back to the 80s.
I'm telling you the truth. I'm
Yes.
giving you the honest truth.
Oh yeah, I
That's the
believe
reality
it.
of it.
And I'm saying I really would like to go back to the 80s. I
And-
like the 80s.
Right. Well, actually, no. I mean, I don't like those.
Right, no.
I would want it to all change.
Right.
I would want it to all. I wouldn't want that stuff to happen to kids. I mean, last night I was talking to a man, and I didn't want to tell him, but I said, "Listen, you were one of the kids that made it through the program," and it kind of put shock on his face a little bit. But he said I was familiar, so when he brought that up, I was getting that feeling from him. He's one of the ones that lured me over to Camp Hero, whether it was in this timeline, whether it was in a parallel. Wherever it was, I remember the man. I remember his energy. And at first he didn't remember me, but as time went on, yesterday we hadn't spoken but twice now, and now I'm familiar.
And Rocco, we meet in the astral plane because I do a lot of astral travel in my dreams, and I'm usually trying to rescue people, save people, help people,
Well, I
help
had a
them make good
memory
decisions. Yeah.
of me and Arkeen. We were sent on a mission, but see, what I like to do is I like to play James Bond. Okay, I like to rather wear the suit than wear the armor sometimes, because wearing the suit, you can be the one that's like an insider to it, right? And you can dig into all the information, right? And you can compile that information. And then you can release it to the public for the price of $0.00.
Right.
In a sense. You
Right.
understand what I mean? In a
Right.
sense.
Yes.
In a sense. You
Yep.
know, the world needs to know the truth. You know, the real Stranger kids or Stranger Things kids are here right now.
Yes.
Are here right
Yeah.
now. Where do you think they got the bikes from? Where do you think they got the arcade from? Montauk has an arcade.
What?
It had an arcade. Yes. I've had rituals done to me at Shadmore Park. I had to lay on a pentagram. Steven Spielberg was there. Politicians on the eastern end of Long Island were there. I was always a target by the police as a kid. But how this all started for me was, first of all, I'm a surrogate. My mother could not have children, and so someone had me for her, but they used her egg. So it's
Wow.
pretty interesting. And 3 days before I was born, they were going to cut the surrogacy law. And if that would have happened, I would not be here right now speaking to you. They would have just done it. They were trying to do away with it. I was born in Largo, Florida. We moved to
Wow.
New York, I'd say around 1. We were living at a place in West Hampton Beach, where I also attended preschool on the Gabreski National Air Guard base, where, yes, this is going to blow people's minds. You would never think, the way West Hampton is set up, that they would have such an underground, I can remember the staircases. I can remember the feeling of coldness. I remember there'd be these hallways, and then there'd be these rooms, and you'd go in these rooms and you'd be asked questions, and sometimes there'd be a female present, sometimes there'd be a male present, right? But at the end of all this programming, when they sat you in front of a television and said, you're going to watch The Wizard of Oz the whole day, over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, because we want to be able to get you into that realm. Did Dorothy really hit her head? It's the
No.
real question. Exactly.
Yep.
Who
I
was in
know.
the beginning, who was in the middle, and who was in the end of the movie? All of them.
Toto.
Yeah.
Then
Right.
and the Wicked Witch wanted Toto. Do you know
And
why?
yes, I'm Oz
Because
program.
Toto was the smallest one, and nobody would have suspected him when he pulled that curtain off of the magic.
Rocco, so you
who's
had to
really
watch this
behind
Wizard
the
of Oz.
curtain? Who's
You
behind the
watched that
curtain?
Wizard. You watched the Wizard of Oz so many times, Rocco. And what did you get? What was your message that you got from that?
Well, there was depression in it. When that movie was being made, Judy Garland, the way they treated her, like later on in life, I realized what I was watching as a kid might have seemed fun to me, or like, oh, well, now I'm going to go on these missions. That's how they could literally get you to be programmed into that type of realm, you understand? So when you go there, you're ready to go. You're ready to go. But my problem is I also spoke with an individual. She's older. I had full recall. I was laying on my bed. This is about a week ago. I was laying on my bed, and I automatically had this blood. I had vertigo really, really bad. Like it was like really bad vertigo. So I laid down. I'm like, okay, breathe, calm down. It's just a memory, but I didn't realize how serious it was going to be. So what they would do with kids, right, when I was there, I mean, I was in the program with Arkeem Ra. I was in the program with Kimberly Murphy. I was in the program with Joseph Powell. Joseph Powell was my commanding officer during the Time Soldier programming. When he depicts and speaks about the pistol, I was the one he took the pistol from, which is Danny, which Danny is me because it's a part of me, but it's also an altar. So that was that altar that was at Montauk. Very rogue, very just a horror show, to say the least.
So they program you to get ready for a journey, like you're going to go down this yellow brick road. And
yeah, and they tell me they're going to give me everything and that I'm going to have a good check and don't worry if anything, you know.
So they make it sound like it's going to be a lot of fun,
No,
basically.
but I was the type of kid where I'd say, fuck you. I was out. That was the type of, but then that's why I witnessed so much fucking torture, because what they would do is that if I would not obey an order, if Preston would say, hey, get in the chair, I'd be like, fuck you. I ain't getting in that fucking chair. No, I ain't getting in that fucking chair. No, I'm talking about my teenage years, because see, to cue you in on how this all started was my mother and my father both witnessed an encounter where they were looking at me, the beings, and they were the grays, but not the typical grays. They were like a light bulb, but a greenish, flickering light bulb. And there were 4 of them, and my mom could not move, my dad could not move, and they were looking at me. And she said they were talking, but she couldn't understand. Nothing was understanding, and all of a sudden they just disappeared. So then I started having to sleep from the age of 3 on up with sheets over my window. I was having night terrors. And it really affected me. Some of the programming is like killing animals, you'll hear. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You know, killing animals, also being brought into rooms, and there'd be a table.
That's training for the killing of animals when you're little. It's what all serial killers do, or it's training toward assassins to be an assassin by starting with the animals first.
That's what they used with me. That's what they did with me. But I had to endure a lot of torture because, like I said, I'm not sitting in that chair. I'm not doing it. You know, I'm not doing any. I became in my teenage years, because after they took me at 3 years old, which Stephen D. Kelly, by the way, ex-CIA, let's get real. Let's get real here. Let's get real. You pressured me back in 2014 and told me that there's no way you can use 3-year-olds. Why would they use 3-year-olds or 4-year-olds or whatever you said? And Terry Joyce, you're funny. I mean, I remember when you lived in your parents' garage. Come on now. Come on. Here's my face. Here's my face. I'm not wearing a mask because I'm not ever afraid. And I'm going to keep telling the truth, no matter what you say, no matter how many views you get, no matter how many of the cult members that are following me and going after me. Because at the end of the day, who's going to win? Me, because you got to learn how to play 5D, 6D, 7D. You got to learn the psionic abilities. And a lot of people, they get into this stuff and they don't really seek the right way to move. You
And I
don't take an ability and use it just to use it. There has
I
to be
don't
a reason behind using abilities.
I don't think that it's as much as they use 3-year-olds for like uh, physical things. They use them for opening their abilities and
Right,
training
right.
them to do
But
what they
it kind of
want.
splits them a little bit. It
Right.
does traumatize you as a kid because you're
Well,
being picked up, taken,
Yeah.
only remembering bits and pieces, not remembering nothing, and just coming into the world and growing up as a teenager, joining gangs, doing things to try to,
Fit in.
fit in.
Yeah.
You want to fit in
you
because
know
you're
what,
one of those kids that
Rocco,
nobody likes.
Brenda, Rocco, my father, who's very German, okay, and he was in the military, but he used to tell me all the time. He used to talk about in Germany, they did that big test with all these little babies, and they put them all in one room, and they didn't give them any love, and all these babies died but one. And then they went and found out the reason that child didn't die because that nurse was sneaking in there on her time
Watching that
off and
baby.
holding that child.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so from that story, what my dad always told me that every child between the ages of 5 and 6 is already formed their mind and what they're going to be. So of course they're going to hit them before they're 5, Rocco. That's
Hmm.
exactly why
Hmm.
they do
They
that.
grabbed me. So I have brief memories now of being grabbed at a young age, but being brought to an underground facility, but then all of a sudden ending up in my bed, in the clock, or a lot of times that the program and stuff is I try, you gotta explain it, and you gotta, but once you start explaining this stuff, there comes consequences with it. Okay. um, Especially now that I've spoken about Gabreski, but I'll get a little bit deeper into Gabreski. I don't care. I don't really care, honestly. I don't. I don't. What? I mean, the truth needs to be told,
This show is for entertainment and educational purposes only.
and really, truly, educational purposes because it's truth.
There you go.
There you
And
go.
So
it is.
there
And
you go.
we encounter on this show, and it's what I love about it, people like you, people that are healing, people to overcome this stuff.
Yeah.
I've been through my own, and Lord, I have found out so much stuff over the last year that I would have never even thought of. But when you see it, once you know it, and you cannot unsee it. So you just got to kind of roll with it, deal with it, and try to heal from it. That's
Yeah,
that's all we can do.
yeah.
I mean,
Well, that's what the rebirthing process that I'm going through right now, thanks to Dana again.
right.
Oh my God, it's crazy. My body has this intense amount of energy in me, like right now. It's flowing through my feet, up through all my chakras, hitting every point.
I'm touching
It's
the screen. I need a
crazy.
little bit of that.
It's wild. It's amazing how intense the energy really is, because not only is it resetting the whole body, but it's resetting the mind to being in 2024 and to being in the here and now and putting the suit on and putting the fighting gear down and being more a part of the solution than sticking in the problem and staying in the missions when I can say no.
Yes. Wow.
But it's continuing to learn more psionics, and another thing a lot of people probably deal with is cults. I deal with a cult that has tried to destroy my family, complete destroy. There's channels on YouTube with horrible content. They have said that I have done It's horrible stuff. It's it's the type of stuff that makes me sometimes I have to like what my healer, I consider the healer. Say healer, says to me, when you think about slipping, meaning shifting into the wrong, lane, meaning that top-notch assassins type, attitude, behavior, getting ready to go. Think I'm doing something for a good cause. I might, that's how the programming will, that's how they'll get you. They'll be like, yeah, another one. Now he's in jail. Now nobody's ever going to believe what he says.
So that comes in part of like the gang stalking, right?
Yeah. I've had people show up to my door. I had a plumber that came inside the house that wasn't a real plumber. He was somebody that was basically a wimp, and I would have hit him once, and that would have been it. I got right in his face and told him to leave after he was on the phone telling them I'm beat pretty bad. I spun around the corner before he even got his bag, and he's going to take his bag down. I said, you better pick that bag up right now, bro. I said, and get on up out of my house.
Right.
And he took off running because I flinched at him. Like I said to him, I had my fist curled, ready. Like, first of all, you walk into my house and you act like you're a plumber or you're some air conditioning guy or whatever, but you only have this small bag. You look like you just did a whole bunch of whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and you're tweaked out on the devil's food. And that's just that. The demon's food. You know what I mean? That's what I call that.
Right. Yep. So,
and I've been accused of being a pedophile because, the internet talks a lot of crap and people don't seem to understand that, everything that's said about a person, that I follow, like, okay, why? It's like, I'm even into the boxing. I found things to help me, like, I like watching the fights. I really do. I enjoy
everybody
it.
needs an outlet.
I loved watching Ryan Garcia knock Devin Haney out. Okay?
Right.
A billionth of a gram. 1 billionth of a gram. It was tainted. New York State liberals. You know what I mean? That's exactly the problem. These libtards. That's what we got a problem with, for real. Fuck liberals, man. They're disgusting. They waste our taxpayers' money. I mean, come on. What the? No.
You know what?
The truth things to be spoken.
It's what they're being taught. Look, okay, the waste of money. Our government wastes our money. If I said it last
night. They do.
I said it last night. There is no reason why us as adults and Americans cannot govern ourselves. Everybody needs to be in their own country, go back to their own countries, put their governments in line, govern themselves, and fix their own countries. Everybody needs to fix their own country.
That's right.
And I don't mean with blood in the streets, and I mean every country needs a major overhaul. Big mechanics.
Exactly.
Well, now that you're speaking about governments, they're in the Bible, right? The King James Version, it was changed from the Geneva Bible. In the Geneva Bible, well, in the King James, it says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, rulers in heavenly places, right? But in the Geneva, the original, like before the King James, it says we wrestle not against principalities, but those that are in government positions. Yeah, in government.
What was that, Rocco?
I don't know what that.
I heard a big thud. I'm like, what? Rocco's looking like, on earth?
Hey, look,
know where all the demons are.
I've been on the live one time, and people showed up to my door
Oh
on the
yeah,
live podcast.
that happened to me, and it was military that showed up at my door, and I'm like, hold on, everybody, I'll be right back. Let
But
me
do
go
you
take care
want
of
me to
that.
go into the troubled teen industry a little bit and how it's tied into MK Ultra as well? And I'd like
Yes.
to shout my friend's tortured teen. If you don't watch it, parents that are out there and think that sending your kids to a private school, that's, oh yeah, we're going to help your kids. No, your kid's going to come home. He's going to overdose, or he's going to get involved with the wrong people because
Right.
of what they do. They indoctrinate. Now, I deal with what is called religious trauma because I was always told that God is going to have me burn in the lake of fire. You're going to burn in the lake of fire. I mean, I was in the Bible Belt. I was in a place called Missouri Baptist Hell Home, is what I call it. I mean, I'd be restrained by kids. Like the staff would make the kids
I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing
restrained.
because there's some of
Just,
the worst
I mean,
corrupted
for
people
me to
are
be
running the big
angry, do I have? I mean, do I
churches.
have like
Right.
every right? Like, I
Well,
mean,
yes. Okay. That is a good thought. What were you saying, Susie?
It's some of the worst corrupted places are in the churches. You know, these pastors that are pedophiles. They're not just pedophiles. They're into all kinds of depravity, sex trafficking, human trafficking. You know, and they're using God and religion as a cover. It's like how you launder money in the cartel and the horse racing.
I
Well, you
know
use
this. It's a
these
billion
facilities of
dollar,
religion.
right?
Yeah.
Yes, to hide the crimes that are being committed, and then everybody's supplying all this money for them. You know, it's big
Now,
business religion.
I am going to say this, Rocco. Everybody and anybody who is in your shoes, Tommy's shoes, my shoes, all of our shoes, yes, you have the right to be angry. But however, that's what they want you to do. They want fear, they want anger.
Right.
You have got to pull yourself together. And the way you fight that machine, use your head. Think.
I already do. I'm
Smart
just saying, as when you explain it to folks, sometimes it's you can't just say, oh well, you got to do this and you
It's
got to do
triggering.
that. No, you got to go straight at it. You got to
Yeah.
let them know. How would you like 5 kids restraining both your arms, your legs, and have their knees in your back because you won't take medication that
Right.
makes you zombied out all day? And
Right.
then if you don't take the medication, they make you push wheelbarrows of rocks up a steep hill in 100-degree Missouri weather. I mean, horrible, horrible punishment. Locked in your room for weeks on end. All you have is a Bible. You have no way of opening a window, so no fresh air. And you're locked in there. You're locked in there. I
Yeah.
mean, I was in one facility and I didn't want to take the meds. So the guy said, you know what? I'm going to call somebody. And he called somebody and they came and picked me up and put me in a psych ward. And, I hate
Yeah.
him. I hate him. I hate what
Oh,
the
I
system
understand.
did to me. What the system did to me was they tried to steal me from my mom. So it was I look at it as a mind controlled thing as well because I have a God of my understanding, that's how I look at it, but I don't go by what the word of because it was twisted to me while I was taught. You understand?
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm afraid of it. I'm afraid
Yeah.
of some of it.
Yeah.
Some of it I'm afraid of. You know what I mean? Like the hell part, when you start talking about hell and stuff, it kind of, you know what I mean? Like, and I know that it's probably just a realm, right? Because we have all these different
Yes.
realms. We have Oz realm, Cinderella realm. We have all these realms because if you're a super soldier,
Rocco, when um, I do a lot of teaching about the Norse mythology because my last name is Allfather, which I go back to Odin, the Allfather of the Norse, the gods of the Norse, right? And in that story, one of Loki was known as the trickster god or Lucifer, and he gave birth to three kind of creations that were bad. One of his daughter, her name was Hel. Okay, and so she was half good and half rotting, and so Odin put her over the realm of what they call Helheim, and that there's 9 realms. Okay, and she kind of rules over that, and it's not necessarily it's probably not like what the Christians say it is. But it's a realm, just like we're in a realm. And they would call this Midgard Earth, okay, in the Norse mythology. And then he was from Asgard, which was connected by the Rainbow Bridge, but that Rainbow Bridge was destroyed. Okay, so that's what the Aurora Borealis is. But Hell itself is ruled by a half good. She's like half good, half rotting corpse. So she's not necessarily like she judges righteously for those that go to hell. So it's not exactly as they portray it, but so it's not something that should be instilled into people as a fear factor to make everybody afraid is what I'm saying.
right.
Everybody has to grow within,
Absolutely.
be a good person, and you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So don't fear those things, Rocco, is what I'm saying.
Oh, I don't fear anything anymore. I mean, I just don't.
I mean the hell thing.
Well,
It's just kind of
it is what it is to me now.
misunderstanding.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm getting to that point where, to me now, it's a lot easier for me to just. It's just you know what I mean? Like, and I just carry on. That's it. Like I don't talk about it, or I just try to stay away from it.
We've got about 15 minutes, Rocco. What I didn't tell you is in between our 2 hours, we take a 5-minute break.
Mm-hmm.
So at the top of the hour, we'll take a 5-minute break so everybody can regroup, get coffee, use the bathroom, whatever. So now I want to ask you, you went through this stuff when you were little, and obviously growing up, you didn't remember a whole lot. When did you start to remember some of these things that happened?
2014. I woke up from a dream. I flipped my laptop open, and I had Facebook. I had left it on. It was an Alienware, so they're pretty good computers. So I miss it, but make a long story short, the same tower that I saw by the water, right, was the same tower that I saw on my screen, and it said Montauk Chronicles. And I didn't know where Montauk was, even at this age. I had no idea any of this should ever happen to me. I'm 37 now. I was in my 20s. I don't know if I want to go into what exposed, something, but I mean, eventually it is going to come out. I met somebody who's a quote unquote super soldier, which he is, but some of us are activated, or we are programmed, I believe, to go after somebody sometimes because they might maybe I was the type of kid that hid that red pill under my tongue and kind of got rid of it, so the programming didn't work on me. So maybe the programming didn't work on me. That's why the memories are finally coming through, because I'm also just relaxing with it and letting it just come in like a river.
Right.
That's it.
Hey, Brian.
Rocco, that is a very good point what you just made. That was very powerful what you just said.
Hey, Brian. Hey, Susie. Hey, Rocco.
Hey, Brian. How are you, man?
Hey,
I'm great, thanks. Great. Just
Good to
resting up
see you.
before. Yeah, you too. You too. Before starting the drive across country to get to Florida before the big conference. So,
Oh
yeah.
man, I can't wait for you. That's awesome, bro.
Is
It
that
is.
gonna be put up to where, like, those of us who can't go
Yeah, we'll
can?
have live stream. Yeah, we do have live stream tickets. They're on the website. They're $55 early bird. We're going to raise them like $77 the day of when the conference begins, and then all of you gals and Rocco, I'll of course comp your live stream passes.
Okay. Okay. That
Sounds
sounds
good.
good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I know Susie and I would really just like to show up in Florida, but unfortunately, realistically, we just cannot do that.
Well, if not this year, there's always camp next year, is what we call it.
Yeah, I didn't realize you were doing it again next year. Rocco said something about it. I was like, oh, well, that's good. I
Well,
didn't know it was
I
going to
mean,
be
that's the
through again.
intention. That's the intention, because the need to get out on as regular and as often a basis as possible the testimonies of folks like Rocco and yourselves, perhaps myself to whatever extent. It's only going to get. It's only I mean, I think it's disclosure is the most biggest priority, I think, for the
Mm-hmm.
whole world. I mean, everyone talks about, they cry about, and who doesn't, feeding the hungry. Well, with these technologies that are being hidden, we could feed everybody. We could clothe,
Exactly.
house, give everyone power, heat, air conditioning, whatever. But it's for lack of disclosure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting you to show up. Thank you for coming, though.
Yeah, I was popping by briefly because I wanted to say hi and obviously show my support. I know that figured that you gals and Rocco obviously could carry the show. You got plenty of content. Oh, we just lost
Yeah,
Susie.
man. Yeah,
Yeah,
she'll
I
come
see
back.
her.
She'll
Yeah,
We're
come back.
she'll
having
come back.
we're
Yeah.
getting those storms out here. Like I had told everybody already, I'm just hoping I don't lose power because we've got that hurricane moving through, and it's raining, thunder, and lightning outside, and I'm like, oh, come on, just wait until after the show, and then lights can go out. I don't care.
And
So now, what were you saying before, Susie? That's what I'd like to
Well,
know.
Rocco, I think I met you back in 2014 when you first came out, and
No,
we
not
started talking back
24. I
then.
don't think 2014. No, James Ring was the first one after a 15-minute email
I
and
wasn't.
called me and was like, "You want to do a super soldier talk?" I'm like, "Yeah, I guess. And you know what? I got on there, and you
Rocco,
know what? I regret it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Rocco,
Sorry, but not
what year?
sorry.
What?
2014.
Okay, so what year was it that you were
2014.
planning on going?
2014
Okay, what
was
year were
when I
you
woke up
planning
to
on
it.
going to? Okay, I'm asking you, what year was it? We were talking about the year that you were going to go to Montauk for the first time. What year was that?
Oh, actually, the first time I ever went to Montauk was in 2014. The following weekend, I had my friend drive
I
me
knew you
out
before
there,
that. I knew you.
drive me out
Yeah.
there, and I located Battery 216, and I've never been there. I just got out of the truck in the
Yeah.
Lighthouse parking lot with my friend, R.I.P., no longer here. Witnessed an encounter that I had and drank himself to death, had a tumor, and they found him dead behind the store. R.I.P. I also have another friend. I have no reason to lie about this. And there are people out there that'll be like, oh, he's a whack job. Oh, he's this. Oh, he's that. Oh, he's this. No, well, the best antidepressant is gratitude. I love how when Johnny Enoch said that, I was like, you know what? That makes complete sense. It is. It really is. You don't need a pill. You don't need it. You don't need it. That's
I remember when we were talking
more. But yeah, I located
back we were talking.
216.
Yeah, you were so excited you were going to go there
Yeah,
and see the place. Yeah.
no, it was a really,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know
Yeah,
it didn't go as well as you wanted
was,
it to,
well,
what you
no.
said, but
Uh,
that was when I met
but,
you.
but then I had an issue. But then I had an issue. Brian. Oh man.
I got a house full of little guard doggies.
I know.
I have a little
man.
one that hears yours and thinks, "Where are you? I'm coming for you."
You know,
Dogs.
But
Oh.
let's put it in this framework here, guys. So that's 2014 that you did end up going on to base Camp Hero and seeing what that was all about. Okay, and one second, I have to mute that or turn off this one alarm here.
Well,
But
I'll tell
yeah.
you what led up to it even more, what made me go there continuously. When me and my friend pulled up on that base, and this was my best friend, he's still alive. Anytime we go to talk about this stuff, he'll like try to talk about it, but like it's almost like he's permanently blocked because like he'll forget about it. And his problem is he gets honey potted in, which he gets the girls that use him, abuse him, and then throw him out. And then his suicide programming kicks in. So he's just out there wandering around not knowing. Yeah.
So, Brian, what were you saying about
What I was going to ask is, Rocco, so to say that your friend is being honeypotted, does that mean that women are being sent into his life to intentionally distract him from a path?
Absolutely. I had Carmen Welter move in with me, and that guy John, that bald-headed guy, who supposedly worked or knew Master Lukey, and Master Lukey was like an original MK Ultra out in Manhattan area. And I was talking to him for a little while in the beginning. I was getting him into it a little bit, but then, me and Lorraine Fenton had a falling out, and it just downfalled from there. But I just have to say sorry, but not sorry. But James is the reason why, and partly me because I gave in. I didn't realize it, but complimentary my butt is what it was. Just to rephrase his words, how he said complimentary. Okay, yeah, no, it made me worse, but I've overcame that, and I'm here now, and I'm speaking out, and I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop.
That's good. That's good.
And
Rocco.
I'm currently got a guy right now who is a ghostwriter, and we're working on my book. So I'll have my very first book, More to Life Than Montauk. And why I say more to life than Montauk, it ties in with the troubled teen industry because they waterboard. They do all kinds of stuff like mind control type stuff. So it's basically the same thing. These kids also are trying to get out and get their word out, but they're getting shut down. And I mean, it's legitimately going on. There's staff that want to go home. I remember a staff member in one of those facilities told me, if I wouldn't lose my job, I'd go to the right person and tell them what's really going on. So,
Wow.
I mean, you'll lose your job quick. You say anything.
Can you speak to any of the links between some of the foster home system and then any of these cults or deeper, darker political connections and groups?
Well, I can talk about the cult, very much about the cult. That's been following me around, for quite some time now. Well, I'm 37 now, but 2014, I was in my 20s, right? So I went through all this craziness, and I ended up hitting. I'd say I probably was when I met Joseph Powell and I met Arkeem and I met, John Whitberg, and we started doing work, and Joseph Powell opened me, like, my mind wide, and I started remembering altars names. I started remembering things. I started connecting with them, and all hell broke loose. And I believe that was when my Omega kicked in. I actually saved Joseph Powell from putting one, Yeah, I saved him. I said, I can't remember exactly what the words were, but I said something like some kind of word like don't do it, or I don't know what it was, but he said that's what made him do it. Pulled it out, and that was it. That was it. But I
Okay,
sat on a Zoom
so
call.
Rocco, so just to give everyone out there in the audience context, the names that Rocco is naming here, these are people who all have themselves come out in public and admitted that they themselves are fellow Montauk boys. There's also Montauk girls, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
but there definitely is a group known as the Montauk boys, and all of those, like Joseph, Arkeem, John Whitberg, Rocco, they're all admittedly part of that group that got to survive. Thankfully, unfortunately, so many did not. And then what happened is, around 2014, as a lot of them began to recover memories, because what happens out there, just so you know, is a lot of these them they're taken as children. They're used and abused, given altars and all sorts of programming. They're mind wiped and then returned back, often 20 years later, back to when they were first snatched. And this is known as the 20 and back kidnapping technology. And it's 20 years is interestingly enough off the Philadelphia project, and the Brookhaven Labs scientists and Montauk Earth scientists discovered that Earth's natural time wave is in 20-year cycles. And so that's why a lot of they're in 20-year, 40-year, 60-year, and even 80-year and backs it's off of a 20-year base. And when they began to recover their memories, and Rocco, as he admits here, may have had Omega programming kick in, Omega being the suicide programming, not just to attack or even kill or harm yourself, but everyone that you may have spilled the beans to, that would be perceived as a threat to uncovering what's really going on, the truth. And then off of that, there's a long period, because here we are, 2024, of Rocco kind of going through it, and also now, especially more recently, self-reflection and breaking through the programming and overcoming that and establishing and asserting his own sovereignty.
Amen.
And we all, and so it is. So we all support you in that, and each other in that.
Mm-hmm.
And in coming forward, and in overcoming that programming, now Rocco is better able to, interact again with John Whitberg or Arkeem or Joseph Powell, for example, and from there do the work of recovering memories. And a lot of times I think people out there in normal society expect the survivors of these programs to be able to just come out and have their book ready, the intro chapter and the A to Z in numerical or chronological order of what happened. And that's really asking quite a lot, I mean, and the people who tend to have been, at least from what I'm running into in our community, the most successful at recovering these memories, they've hit it from a number of modalities. They've done the self work, the shadow work. They've done maybe QHHT, hypnotic regression therapy. They've done, or in addition to QHHT, quantum, hypnosis and healing technique, I believe. I always mess it. I don't went up, but it's effective apparently. You got
Right.
remote viewers and other psychics and shamans or contactees who they can give insight into the things that we've been through. And when you put all that together into a nice, literally chronology, the date you were born, when and where, and to the first times you were taken by the guys in the white van or whatnot. I know Rocco and I were talking about some memories of that the other day, which were pretty darn detailed, guys.
Yeah,
and
man.
gals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mag wheels.
So
I
Rocco still
never-
got the bicycle that he remembers riding around on Long Island when the men in the white van would ride up next to him. And not only would they snatch and grab him, but they also grab up the bike that he was clinging with dearly, of life to.
Dang.
Yeah, and that's
Rocco, I'm so
that's a detailed
sorry
memory.
that you went through all that. I mean, that
Well,
just
you know
that
what,
really.
people, look, I always have to say this too. I don't want people to, pity or, I don't want that. You know what I mean? I just want people to listen to the messages that us survivors are putting out there. Because when they're like, I have people contacting me. I don't know, Brian, if you got that message of that kid. He's from Long Island. He's willing, if we're in Montauk next summer, he will come and get on camera and do his own thing. He has his own memories. I have my memories. And then there's other kids out there that might get involved. I don't know. I don't know. It depends on where they're at mentally.
And every time we do a show that the fellow survivors and testifiers get to see, that just encourages them that much more to come out with their own memories.
Right.
And I get all the, it's not like they're trolls spending their time watching our shows, but if you are, you're helping our algorithm sinks. But to all the trolls and the doubters
like,
out
share,
there.
And subscribe. Guys, I'm going to be a little quiet because we've got the park over here. It's got the fireworks going, and my dogs are going crazy.
Okay.
So I'm going to mute.
Yeah, go for it, Bree. Thanks, Brenda.
If you want to take a 5-minute break, Brenda, real quick, and I want to grab some coffee and.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. We'll get the break done out of the way. Then that way we can come on.
And
back
I want to hear some more of that story you're talking about the van and all that too. What you were saying.
I'll get into full detail and other things. What is this? A 2-hour show or?
Yes, we're gonna take a 5-minute break and then we'll be back for another hour.
So that's good. Then I'll be able to get a lot of stuff out. That'll be actually good.
All right,
okay,
everybody.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
We will be right back in 5, and stay tuned. Knit. What? And we're back. And there's Susie. We are back with Rocco and Susie, Brian, and we're going to let them continue while I try to control my little Russian hard-headed chihuahua over here who is having a fit over these fireworks, man. I'm going to let him outside and let him go look and see what they are, I guess. I don't know. But all right, guys, go ahead and finish your conversation. I don't know where you left off. I think Brian was saying something.
Well, Rocco and I the other day were discussing some of his more, some of his memories. For example, of growing up on Long Island, in different parts of Long Island, but riding around on his BMX bike with mag tires, and with a buddy, young friend of his, when they were grade schoolers, and getting basically kidnapped by men in white vans, not only snatching him up but snatching up his bike. And then we're just talking about how I recommend everyone put things like that, obviously, in a chronology, a timeline, and then write up in as plain English as possible, a summary of that timeline. And then off of that, they do a list or set of demands. Because a lot of times, if you or get back on a recall, you might remember some of the underground military locations you were taken to, or you might remember some of the perpetrators of injustice, or you might remember some of your fellow victims who might still be in bondage or might not be with us anymore, but they need to be remembered. You might have gotten medical technology used on you that's been hidden from the rest of us, and you don't have access to anymore. But that would come in really handy. A lot of folks out there in our community are not in the best health, and any type of medical bed technology would sound really nice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Rocco, what do you have to say about that?
I was just kind of like, I don't know. I have this reoccurring memory of the situation where, I would not obey an order, and that order was to sit in the Montauk chair. And it's just funny, like some of these people, like I was saying before, why is it that these older people remember me? Like there's older people that remember me from there. Like, I mean, older, or, even entertain my conversation when it comes to the subject. There were a few mishaps there, but
when time travel is involved, all bets are off.
Yeah.
If you're going to be in a body that was like reflected the age of how many probably 20 and backs you might have done, you might be in a 200-year-old body or something right now.
I just had a memory of being in a room, and it was underneath Gabreski, and I was strapped to some type of chair, and I was sent back to Montauk at a certain time. I can't recall exactly what time that is. I have to try to stay in the here and the now. That's what the healer that, kindly did something for me that, really changed me for the better. I, since 2020, have not left my house up until the last couple of weeks. And now it's been like going outside 5 times a day. I went to the park today, first thing in the morning. Like, I got up, I have all this energy that's going through me because what happened was is supposedly like I was feeling really like foggy, and I went to like sleep, and next thing you know, I was battling with another time traveler that was trying to shift this timeline, and I was all mixed up. Like, they were really about to push me over the edge, but um, Dana and her army stopped that from happening,
So
and it
Dana,
began
we're
a
talking Dana.
rebirth.
So Rocco, real quick, just so to give context to people because they don't know who you're talking about. Dana Louise
Louis.
is going to be one of our presenters at the Full Disclosure Now conference, and she's obviously a wonderful member of the community who's very gifted. Has had her own ET and MyLab and perhaps Montauk experiences as well, and has recently connected with Rocco, and they've gotten to like share recollections of the good and the bad and the ugly, if you will.
Well, it's more of like she was a healer for me.
And
Like,
because of her abilities, she has, among other things, healing abilities and spiritual assistance, and it sounds like she's rendered some of that to Rocco, and it's proven to be effective.
oh, it's effective. I was at the basketball shooting you know what I mean? Like, I and I was like, wow, like this is not me. What's going on here? You know? And I even looked at somebody in the store and I said, you look different. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I got shifted back to 2024. I was in these different timelines. You know what I mean? Now it's time to move forward, is what she said. She said, it's time to put down the, the fighting part and put the suit on and be the teacher and be the trainer. You fought enough. I could feel your pain. That's why I did what I did.
It makes sense
So
in a
I don't know how
timeline.
many.
In a higher timeline, Rocco is training and and teaching and representing and bearing witness, and not necessarily having to fight trolls and always feel like he's under attack. That's not a higher timeline. And so a lot of people, they talk about timelines and merging timelines, and I look at it kind of like a Dolores canon or a multiverse way, and a splitting of the two curves of ultimately a positive and a not positive, let's put it that way, timeline. And it's kind of like one or the other. It seems like it's more and more. It's just the polarity seems to be growing stronger and stronger, and people throughout our lives, but especially lately, get to choose which one we'd rather be on. And I'd argue that the higher Earth timeline has a happy, whole, emotionally, spiritually grateful Rocco working with all the rest of us, and we're all on the same page, no matter where we're at. I know physically, the material dense world is not the same as the spiritual world. Um, and we're all meant to live our own paths and missions and have our own limitations and frailties, of course. But, having said that, it can be the highest that we can make it. Why not? Whatever's in our own free will choice to do, let's do that.
Manifestation.
Yeah, for the
Manifest.
best.
Yep. Manifest positivity. Like I was explained, okay, do random acts of kindness. Laughter. That's why I was trying to make, a little bit of laughter out of it, not really, saying threats or anything. So, I was just joking, saying sorry, but not sorry. You know what I mean? Because it's the truth. It's It's the truth. You know, it put me in some really bad situations.
You mean when you're in a dark reactive space instead of being in a place where
No,
you're
at the
grateful and
beginning
lighthearted?
when I sat in front of that computer with that,
Oh, the one
yeah,
guy. Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Right. Right.
yeah.
So okay. So let's address that. So sometimes in our community, because everybody who's been through this in general, I mean, from what I can tell so far, has gone through some level of programming. Okay. Sometimes, even though, hey, you and I or whoever, we're all maybe have survived these programs, now that we're talking and interacting with each other in the here and now, doesn't mean, we are always necessarily sane and rational beings who are mentally and emotionally stable. And so, especially when people are first realizing all the stuff that they've been through and has been kind of memory wiped from them, not only is that a traumatic experience, but combine that now with interacting with other people, gaining their own regaining their own traumatic experiences, and then battling programming, and then now they're interacting with each other for better or worse. And I'd argue that 10 years ago, a lot more of those interactions were for the worse. And these days, 10 years later, with people a bit older, a bit wiser, having recovered their sovereignty and broken through that programming, now we're much more equipped to interact with each other and assist rather than relive and reenact past traumas upon each other. And even the people who are in our community who still don't get it, still don't know how to play nice with each other, with others, and know how to be principled. um they play their role too, and we just don't let that knock us off of our mission. And we do our best to be, principled, forward thinking leadership that does what we say we're going to do.
I've always thought that everybody should understand that unity is so much better than the squabbling and the fighting and the bat picking and all that stuff. That's how everybody's gonna get through this. You
Well, let me
know?
address that. I want to address that, Brenda,
Okay.
because it's unity, in my opinion, right? I agree, unity, but that's like the end product. But
Yeah.
like right now, we're like 5-10 steps away from that wonderful end product. You know, for
Yeah.
example, let's say some people in the community, for clicks or whatever, are putting and interviewing on their show people who are frauds running cryptocurrency scams.
Oh
They
yeah.
literally advocate like rapiness, okay, and other shady stuff that they sell fraudulent stuff other than the charge cryptocurrency, right? So like, is it right for us to like unite with those people as like one big happy family, or
Oh
we need to
no,
first?
no, no.
Exactly right. So, and that's a problem. Not everyone in the community is on the same page yet. We need to deal with each of these cases one by one and kind of police ourselves, if you will, in our own community, so that when we do go out to the normie community as best we can, we're setting our best foot, our best face forward. It doesn't
Right.
look good, and then people are yelling at me or ROCKO or any of us and saying, hey, aren't you guys unified, and together with them, you're all super soldiers,
So
right? Like how?
that's my sole purpose.
Right, but what I'm saying,
Uh,
what I was pointing
crushing
out is,
division, crush division.
but
But
how,
see,
right, but
we
to
need
crush.
that. Yes, but we need we need like Arkeen, Whitberg. You know, like I feel like our whole team that we're involved in like some of these programs, we need to get together because we are the ones that hold those keys to those you know, those
in your
different
hundred. I mean,
ways of movement. You know what I mean?
yeah, I'm 100% in agreement. But and all those names that you mentioned, they're all wonderful, not only friends, right, of ours, they're principled actors. And what I'm trying to delineate is that unfortunately in our community it's not everyone's a principled actor. And so how do we deal with the unprincipled actors
Yeah,
on
we
a
have to
case by
weed them.
case?
We have to
Right. And,
feel
and
them
and
out.
not by saying, hey, we're going to cancel culture you, we're going to oust you, we're going to shame you. What we're going to do is we're going to, when it's and I was taught this as an organizer, it's there are no bad people. Okay, there's bad practices. Okay, so it's not like I'm going to come after you, X, Y, or Z, as bad people, evil bastards. I mean, unless
Right.
like you're satanic pedophiles drinking blood, blah blah blah. Then okay, I'll call a spade, fine. But I'm talking people in our
Yeah.
community who are dealing with the darkness. You
Ugh.
know, it's not calling them evil people. It's pointing out, hey, these are the principles at stake. This is
Yes.
where your practice is not in line with the principles. This is what it would take to get in line with those principles.
And
And
that right there, Brian, is the reason why you are an excellent organizer. And I do believe that your Disclosure Now movement is going to go off fabulous.
I'll take that. Thank you, Brenda. Oh yeah.
Yes. And like
Oh, yeah.
I said, I really wish we could go because I'll tell you, when I had both my legs, boy, I'd have been there probably before y'all got there. I'd have beat you there. But, now things are just so hard traveling. And, I went
How bad's flying for you? Is that a pain?
to,
And it's
well,
just
I'm claustrophobic and afraid of heights and I have to be
so
knocked
then you
out.
got it. So now we're driving. So now it's to
But I
driving.
mean, I went to Susie's for 3 days, 3 days, 2 nights, and I had 15 bags with me because I have to have, my daily medicine for my blood thinners and all that crap, and everything else that I would need while I was there. So it's like when I go somewhere, I might as well pack a van and I can't take anybody with me because all my stuff's there.
Well, I was gonna
So
say it's like John Madden. He doesn't like to fly, so he has his tour bus and you drive literally from all across the country on his tour bus. So we'll put out the call now for next year for whoever's got the really awesome tour bus or RV to scoop up Susie
right,
and Brenda on their way,
right.
to Florida for 2025 Full Disclosure Now conference.
That's right.
I have a question for Susie. What was it that you wanted me to get into more deep?
We're talking about the white vans. Was that what it was? That memory?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Susie, we can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Yeah, it's weird. You're muted, even though her mic thing doesn't show us
Yeah.
muted.
Go
It might be
out and
your
come back
computer.
in.
Yeah, go back and come back in.
Or check
Yeah,
your earpiece.
And then Rocco,
Yeah.
that person, you shared with me that message from them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say their name. But just the fact that they've come out to you like that, that in itself, it's really a testimony of the power of what happens when the more and more people come out with their legitimate testimony. And this is not a glamorous testimony in general. And and people are like, oh, like there's this money to be made. I don't think so. If you look into our community, the vast majority of people in our community are not rolling in the dough. Let's put it like that. Okay.
Right.
Put it like that.
Say something.
Survivors.
There you are.
Yeah, there you are, Susie. So
And,
were you asking Rocco earlier?
I want to also say something. Brian
Okay.
has not froze once since he's been on here.
Yeah.
It's
Yay.
Oh
awesome.
yeah.
It's a 5-person threshold, I think, is one.
Montauk.
Yeah.
No.
StreamYard.
Montauk. Or not Montauk. Brookhaven.
Right. So Brookhaven, for those in the audience who might not know the connection, Brookhaven National Labs is also on Long Island, and after the 1943 Philadelphia experiment with the USS Eldridge, when they had the Tesla generators, one on each end of the Eldridge, and they ripped a hole in time and space, 1943,
Right?
some of the U.S. deep state scientists or whoever with the military realized that they wanted to take their nifty new discovery, and from there, Philadelphia, they moved over to Brookhaven National Labs, which is kind of in the middle of Long Island, New York. Okay, and then as things maybe got busier, and they wanted to do even more sinister shenanigans, they moved further east from Brookhaven, centrally on Long Island, New York, and moved all the way to the east end to Camp Hero, Montauk Point area, and which was at that point a then abandoned World War II Army base with bunkers and underground facilities, which seemed to be perfect for the purposes of what they were using it for, including MK Ultra, torture and abuse of children, and then using a Montauk trip chair recovered from a pilot's chair recovered from a Roswell accident scene, crash site, to rip holes in time and space. As
Yeah.
depicted in the show Stranger
No, I
Things.
heard that.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I heard that at that time that Michael Aquino was going through his trials and stuff like that, he actually left San Francisco and went to work with Montauk people at that facility. But he didn't supposedly get along with them that well, but he was there working with them at that time.
I've heard multiple testimonies of Colonel Michael Aquino in these facilities and in these projects, including Project Ibis.
Yeah.
John Whitberg testifies to that in his recent free ebook, "The Man with Periwinkle Eyes," which is amazing. A lot of us out here in the community are waiting with bated breath for Volume 2 to come out. So he's waiting. He's writing that right now.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
And
Absolutely.
And Colonel Aquino, he was up to a lot of these Luciferian shenanigans under the San Francisco Presidio, another supposedly decommissioned U.S. military base with underground facilities, I've heard.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, he had his hands in a lot.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So, Susie, what did you want to know? What did you want to ask Rocco about?
Did you have any memories, or can you tell us any stories about when you were kidnapped, and who they were that you remember, or do you have any memories of that, Rocco?
All right, so, right, they say the base was desolate, right? But they could bring the chair up, or they could bring the chair on the property. Why was Preston arrested? Why was he told not to go there? I mean, he would go there all the time. My handler would take me there on weekends. And I remember they'd walk me down that trail and they'd say, "This guy's going to love you." And then later on in life, it became, I went over to his home in Islip, Central Islip. And I remember the yellow school bus. And I briefly remember seeing Duncan. Now, they're a lot older now. They're out of that program, but they're still doing sexual deviant shit is what they're doing. They're doing it, and they're calling it deprogramming. But they'll make you sit in a circle, and yeah, masturbation. Yeah, it's
So for those in our audience who might not know as much of the history of the Montauk Project, it was pretty much whitewashed by author Peter Moon. And I'm critical of him for this, and as are a lot of people, because it seems that he was at least initially fed a very whitewashed, sanitized version of the events of Project Phoenix, aka the Montauk Project, Camp Hero, and it really left out a lot of the nastiness, including the ritual abuse of children, as perpetrated by Preston Nichols, would be number one, and then probably a lesser extent, Al Bielek and perhaps Duncan Cameron as well, although I don't know as much about that. Fewer people ever has spoken negatively about Duncan Cameron, but all the stuff that has since surfaced about Preston Nichols, there's nothing good to say there. And part of the tragedy here is that after people were, returned to their kind of like their initial setting from when they were first kidnapped and with their memories wiped, and then as they're recovering their memories years later and they're discovering things like Peter Moon's work, the Montauk Chronicles, and then they reach out to Preston
Oh
Nichols.
no, that's not Peter Moon's work. Oh no, that's Christopher Garetano.
All right. Well, what I was saying is Christopher Garetano is did the accurate work with the Montauk Chronicles.
Yeah, but
then
Peter Moon had nothing to do with Montauk Chronicles, though.
Yeah, exactly. So
don't
maybe
tag his name to that at all. Peter Moon is a disgusting person. Rude. Weird. Very weird. Probably charges an arm and a leg.
He wrote a series of books too,
there. Right? Yeah, but I can tell you right now, I know a survivor.
That's what I mean.
I know a survivor that said there's no bottom lake under that rock. Peter made that up. He's an author. He said he made up so much crap in this, What's the real story?
And that's the thing, Rocco. That's what I'm trying to say is not only did he make up stuff, he left stuff out, and then he also made. And maybe I'm misquoting the name.
Is that
of
what you
would
call disinformation?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Would you call that like disinformation?
Let me tell you something. He was definitely involved with the rituals. I can tell you that right now.
Oh yeah, well, a lot of people I've heard the horrible, terrible.
Right there, Shadmore Park. Right there, Shadmore Park. That's where I remember having a ritual done on me.
Wow.
Blood sacrifice ritual. Yeah.
And what happened is that Peter Moon, in his book series, I'm not talking about the Garetano work, which is excellent, but in Peter Moon's work, he kind of wrote out the narrative that he was given by Preston Nichols, who turned himself into a hero as much as he could. When you compare what he gave Peter Moon is out there in the public for several decades now, and then behind the scenes real life testimony from survivors like ROCKO and others. But what happened is there was a period of time where when Peter Moon had first written his books and a lot of this information was coming to light, when Preston Nichols and Al Bielek and Duncan Cameron a little bit, they were themselves had their memories wiped, it appears, but they were recovering them themselves. They were doing their own interviews. And not only were they doing interviews, Preston Nichols was saying, hey guys, any of you Montauk boys out there, if you want, come on over to my house and I will help deprogram you. And then this is where ROCKO's saying, that deprogramming was in a lot of cases just more sexual abuse and grooming, because that's exactly
if it's just like another grooming effect, they're gonna groom you, we're gonna help you, but it's a type of grooming, come on over and I'm gonna be your friend, I'm gonna help you.
It's a handler
take
thing.
Advantage
and so Preston Nichols was a satanic pedophile in the Montauk Project, and then after the Montauk Project, he still was a satanic pedophile. Go figure.
Okay.
And so a lot of people, they caught on to this eventually, and they said, whoa, do not go over to Preston's house for him to help you recover memories or get deprogramming. That is the exact opposite of the definition of
they were
that.
Probably getting drugged over there, Brian. They get over there, they could probably give them something to drink, eat, drug them, Well,
what I heard is he was using a lot of the sound and frequency technology that they were already using at Montauk, because he had a lot of this electronics equipment in his house apparently, and he would beam a frequency or tones at these kids, and they'd wake up, okay, and their pants might be down, and they'd be like, "What happened?" And that might
Yeah.
not have even involved any drugs. Like, that's how scary and creepy this dude was.
Well, the thing that I learned about, I had that experience with the serial killer who tried to kill me, and the guy ended up becoming a Christian, Henry Lucas. And one of the things he said was he joined the satanic organization, the cult called the Hands of Death, and trained in the Everglades. And they were taught down there what drugs to use, keep people complacent, how to kidnap, how to, and so and it was all military, government, and it was over. Michael Aquino was at the head of that. So, so these people were trained exactly how to drug them, how to do all these things. I mean, it's a like very what you call organized criminal cult of satanic people, and they all are trained together, and they're all working together. So it's like a well-greased machine. They know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's sick. I mean, they're all in a lot of these cults and circles and groups together doing these rituals. Aquino apparently held a lot of negative reptilian energy, and the things that he apparently did, I wouldn't doubt that. And the circles he walked in, those were the real halls of power. We're not talking Congress. We're talking the secret castles and underground bases that people like he and maybe like Oprah Winfrey or whoever would go to. And I think a lot of us would like to think that those people are being rounded up and brought to justice to whatever extent they are.
Or disinformation.
Well, no, I mean I've seen the mass resignations, the actors and actresses and CEOs wearing what look like ankle monitoring, and tracking bracelets. Hollywood looks like a ghost town. Washington D.C. apparently looks like a ghost town. Guantanamo Bay apparently has grown into some huge giant complex. So I do see these as being, and then there's a lot of actors and actresses and famous politicians who all of a sudden they look really different. It could be body doubles or avatars. So to me, all those things are indicators that yes, there is stuff going on. Thankfully, because I think that all more is being revealed. There was a time when it was like, a Michael Aquino could walk around with impunity and go on Oprah. I don't think that if he was around today, he would be walking around with such impunity, not with all the dirt that's come out about him after his apparent death several years ago.
Yeah, back in 2019.
I don't know about that. There's a lot of dirt coming out about a lot of people, and they're still out there wandering around like, glorious days. ROCKO, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. I relive stuff sometimes while I talk about it. I'm not gonna sit here and paint a pretty picture that
Right.
it's just a part of it, but I can still stay in the here and the now. I have that ability, center myself.
Were you getting flashbacks as I was speaking, and then I know that you wanted perhaps to speak out some memories that you might have had, recalls involving me possibly.
Oh, well, what was the one about the kidnapping? You wanted to get... Yeah, I never
you
went...
did go into that. There was a ritual done to you, and
when it happened,
that?
Yeah, I don't give a shit. I don't. I'm here to tell the truth. You can believe me. I don't really care what you do. You can make fun of me. You can call me nuts. Whatever the fuck else. Everything we were ever fucking taught in school is all fucking lies. Just remember that. It's all fucking lies. Just remember that. Remember that. when we told you so, and you're suffering in 2030 when that, reptilian race decides to come in and do a war on this planet, and lots of people are going to fucking die because they're not going to be ready and they're not going to be prepared. But I've done enough videos where I'm not going to get really into the preparing part on this video. I'm more into the recalls on this video.
Snake repellent. They don't like it.
Yep. Yep. There's so many. I mean, psionically, there's so many things that can be done, and I'm getting prepared for it. So
I'm very familiar with them.
mhm.
I know where they're at, and I don't even have to put my eyes on them. I can smell them. All I gotta do is walk in a crowd of people.
Was that in your? Was that in your the ritual? Was there reptilians there, Rocco?
Well, what had happened was,
what happened?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you what had happened, right? Okay, so me and a friend, we were walking one day, and we were walking down this side street, and there was like this, I don't know, it was really weird, and a white van pulled up, and I was like, oh shit, I already knew we're going. And my friend's like, oh, it's just going to be, whatever, and come to find out, my friend that was with me was the lure. He was one of the lures to lure me into the, ritual. And he brought me back to Shadmore Park. And I have an actual photo of the building where I was taken. And horrible.
Shadmore Park is somewhere on Long Island?
It's in Montauk, man. It's right up the street in Montauk. They do rituals still in Montauk. Montauk is not normal. There's not normal people there. They're weird. They're corrupt. They try to destroy your life. I mean, I go out there. I even go close to the fence. A fucking vehicle pulls up and always sits. You'll see next summer. Mark my words. You'll see what happens next summer. They were watching me for a minute now. They've been watching me. I did a video on YouTube a couple years ago about where the power was going to a defunct area, and the video was deleted not even 24 hours later. Gone.
Off of YouTube.
Yep, fucking gone.
Yep. And then,
I had a mask on. I had a mask on. I had all this shit. I was geared up. I went in there past hours. I snuck in there from Old Camp Hero Road, and oh yeah. Yeah, I went right over that little bridge. I snuck in, and I pulled the power up. I pulled the wiring. I said, you see? And I followed it, and I followed it, and I followed it, and somebody videoed me.
And then in the case of when you're snatched up, your friend was used as a lure. They took you to the Shadmore Park. You've got a picture of the very building there. All you really remember, you were saying, was kind of waking up and you're like missing articles of clothing, but you still had your bike.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you woke up in that park, or did you wake up somewhere else?
I woke up in the middle of the woods. No shirt, same thing, like that one time before. But I was brought underground at that time, and it was for a brief period. And then I woke up. I had no socks, no shoes, just pants and a t-shirt, and I had to get back to, quite a ways, for a walk. And so I was
you don't have any memory. Do you think you were drugged, Rocco, or what happened to you?
I definitely think I was drugged, and I definitely think that there was some kind of witchcraft or some kind of spells with the rituals. Uh, who knows? The possibilities are endless. All I know is I was laying on the floor, and there was a pentagram, and I was on top of that pentagram.
Wow.
And I remember my arms were out, like kind of like I had my legs out wide, and they had like knives, like in between my toes, and then in between my hands, like not in my hands, but in between my hands. And there were candles, and they were dressed in these black robes. And I swear I remember seeing, local politicians. Because when I started digging into this, I started getting attacked on a regular basis. I mean, to the point where I had to leave New York. Because if I wouldn't have left New York, something was bound to happen. It was definitely bound to happen because I was digging very, 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 very deep. And that's how I recovered through another person, that person that we were speaking about. Most of the high schools, they have those chairs in their basements. Underground is underground. Doors can be locked, stuff can be watched. you know, and they could
Arkim
take
talks
you
about
down
this
there.
too. He says that there are high schools dotted around this country where they have underground facilities,
Uh huh. Uh huh.
like in Madison, Wisconsin, for one.
Well, West Hampton
Or
Beach,
not Madison, Appleton. Sorry, he's Appleton, where he's from.
West Hampton Beach as well. Because when I was taken to the med unit, I was taken downstairs and then down another flight of steps, and then there was like a dark hallway, and then it led to another doorway, and then you go through that doorway, and then there was like a tunnel that would go directly across the street to the other school where I had went to school right after preschool.
So it seems like there's a vast underground network
Oh yeah,
beneath our feet that the vast majority of civilians don't even know about to even contemplate their
absolutely,
existence.
Yep.
absolutely,
And they link all
absolutely.
military bases, and they even link to other countries.
Oh yeah,
Yep. I know I've been in a few. I've seen a few. I live next to military bases. I'm a military brat. Been married to the military twice. It's
And yeah.
incredible what's underneath our feet.
And then some certain hotel chains, they may be in on it too, and some of their hotel facilities may contain jump gates.
Yes.
Tuh.
yeah, they do.
It's an endless deal.
Right. Or amusement parks like in Florida or California.
Yep,
Yeah, for sure.
yep,
Yeah, like
yep,
Orlando or Anaheim, for
yep.
example. Not to name names, Disney World.
God,
Well, when I was in Florida, the vice president of Walt Disney, Michael Laney, tried to kill me. He was going to hire he wanted to kill my boyfriend, and we were at a hotel in Orlando. This back in 1982. And here you have the vice president of Walt Disney, who is gay and wants to have this girl murdered. Wants to pay my husband $10,000. So we basically saved this girl, and then he chased us with a gun, and we had to run from him. This guy ended up he's in prison now because he raped a 7-year-old. So he's actually in prison. This is the vice president of Walt Disney back in the 80s, and he didn't get caught until recently. So you get, murdering killing, kidnapping. I mean, Walt Disney is in on it, just like big time, big time.
I grew up around Disneyland, so yeah. But I was always raised with the impression of, Walt Disney did not like children. He hated children. That's why all of his cartoons with the kids, Bambi's mom died, Dumbo's mom was taken away. The sad part. But then I found out when I got older that he was actually a pedophile.
Well, and he was
So,
a 33rd degree Freemason. So
yep.
my understanding is to reach that level, you have to do some pretty nasty stuff to little people to achieve that, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, we've got about 7 minutes
Good
left.
place to groom children, Brenda, a good place. Walt Disney's a good place to groom children, to bring them in, to
Nickelodeon.
entertain them, to groom them.
Oh yeah, Nickelodeon.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big old, like George Carlin said, it's a big club and we ain't in it.
Thank God.
I know, right?
It's the only part of that one.
Yeah, we've got about 7 minutes left. So, Brian, go tell everybody about your thing you got going on.
Yeah. It's like I've got in basically a little bit over a week the Full Disclosure Now conference, and it's going to be at St. Pete Beach, Florida, at the Serrata Beach Resort. And we got a sister event really to kick us off this Saturday and Sunday, July 13th and 14th, the Day of Being Beach Weekend. It's in their 4th year. It's going to be like 1,000 light workers and starseeds joining us is what we're anticipating.
Jeez.
It's free of charge gathering. Drum circles, barbecues, everything. It's going to be a lot of fun. And CE5s at night to call in our friendly ET friends in the skies. And then 4 days and nights of amazing presentations, about almost 40 presenters now, and workshops, special screenings, live music, dancing, just fun on the beach day and night. And it's I'm really looking forward to it. It's our first of many. And it's already in our 1st year, easily the largest such UFO ET disclosure conference on the East Coast. And we're pretty much rivaling in some ways Contact in the Desert in their 10th year officially.
Wow.
So I'm really proud of that.
So exciting.
Yeah. FullDisclosureMovement.org, all one word, people. Thank you.
I think it's a great place for people to get answers, to go to that, like other people who have maybe seen things or want to know things or have experienced that. That would be a great place for people to gather information, to put this, everything together. I mean, a lot of people should go to that if they can. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think everybody can learn from each other that way too. So I think it'll be good. Rocco, you want to let anybody know where they can find you legally?
Yeah, look at Facebook, Rocko Fowler, ROCKO FOWLER. And then I'm not going to give my YouTube until you meet me on Facebook. I'm going to be very vetty. I am. I'm going to vet a lot of people.
Oh,
because I know the game for clicks and fucking views for the truth, and that's sad. If you need clicks and views for somebody telling a story that they have to wake up to and go to sleep to, it's horrible, horrifying. Some of these people are out there right now, crawled in a ball in their home, no one to talk to, afraid to open their mouth, with a gun to their mouth and a bottle of vodka with some pills. That's what this shit does.
Yeah.
It fucks your head up. It fucks your head up.
Oh, trust me.
Memories that are horrible. Yeah.
Well, I do thank you, Rocco, so much for coming on. Brian, thank you so much for coming in. It's always good to see you. I haven't seen you for a while, so it's been really good. Susie and I have had horrific week in, well, almost 2 weeks. So we've just been kind of, and like I said, I'm going to
Keeping a
you know,
smile
Susie, I
on our
think you're
face.
right.
We're just keeping
Yeah.
a smile on our face and just keep
I
moving
mean,
forward.
Yeah.
That's right. I may be going to the ER tonight, but I
Mm.
will
Oh
assure
boy.
you that no matter what I have to do to get out of that hospital, we will be here next weekend. If I got to have my computer dragged to the hospital, I have my hair standing up in the air and the gown, I'm doing a show. So the show must go on, correct?
Show must go on.
That's right. So we are about out of time here. I want to thank everybody, all the listeners. Please like, share, and subscribe. Help our little family grow. If you've been out or you know anybody that's out right now with fireworks going, which I had no idea they were going to do that tonight, or I have little calming treats for my dogs. I would have given it to them because the park that sets them off is
They're
like right
terrified.
here.
Yeah.
And it rattles my windows, it shakes my walls. And I can't believe they're out there doing that. It's raining outside and thunder and lightning, and they're out there setting off fireworks. What? Who's going to watch? So,
Pyromaniacs.
right, something like that. Well, at least we don't have to worry about anything landing on our roofs and catching on fire. Water's going to put it out. It's crazy stuff lately. But we will be here next weekend. We've got a pretty good lineup next weekend, and we've got a friend of Susie's named Marsh. He's in movies and a lot of shows.
U.S. Marshal.
Yeah, he was a U.S. Marshal. And then all of you, well, most of you probably know, I've got Mr. Dennis Carroll coming on next Saturday night. I love that man. I've always watched his shows. I try to get in there and catch them when I can. So join us next weekend for another fun-filled adventure with Beyond the Box. And like always, everybody, please be kind to one another. Have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.
Later.
Thank you, guys.
Goodbye for now from Beyond the Box. Inside, outside, upside, downside, beyond the box. Please join us again for Beyond the Box, Friday and Saturday evenings from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern. Join us for more intel bombs with our extraordinary guests.
Break it down.
Good night, Putin. Good night, Tucker Carlson. Inside, outside, upside, downside, beyond the box.